Wonderful gathering this morning. Thank you. I had a chance to show my play skills. I did pretty good. If you ask the 3- and 4-year-olds I was just with, I have a 3-year-old granddaughter, almost 4, so pretty good at this. But I'm so happy to be here at day one because this is the culmination of a vision that was started years ago, which we'll talk about. But I want to first of all thank all the elected leaders here first who work so hard to support their communities, the people they represent, the children they represent, and to bring that cause and that purpose to Albany as their representatives. And I want to give a shout out, first of all, to Senator Michelle Hinchy, who's done an amazing job with such passion and perseverance in fighting for the people she's proud to represent. Let's give her a round of applause. Senator Rob Rollison, I think, Rob, thank you very much for all your support in the legislature, particularly on these areas that, defy political boundaries. We know that every family, regardless of political affiliation or even if there is not a political affiliation, they all have the same needs, and we represent all of them. So I appreciate you helping us here today. Assemblymember Jonathan Jacobson and Assemblymember Dee Dee Barrett, two great champions of this region. I'm always grateful to be with you because you do so many great things in your districts. Always happy to see Mayor Yvonne Flowers from the great city of Poughkeepsie. Mayor Poughkeepsie, thank you very much. I come out of local government, so I always have an appreciation for our local officials. So thank you, Mayor. And also, my commissioners have joined me all the way from our State of the State yesterday to Dutchess County. First of all, we are Office of Children and Family Services. Dr. Harris Madden, I want to thank her for being such an incredible support of these policies, but also helping come up with these policies. Our Commissioner of Labor, Roberta Reardon, who does everything she can to make sure that every industry has the workforce they need, including the child care industry. And industry is said in a loving way. It's not a factory. It is a place where we're creating new opportunities for our children, but it takes the leaders, the teachers, and others to have the skills they need to be able to step into those jobs. And also, someone who understands the power of education to change people's lives and is on the front lines every single day. That is our Commissioner of Education, Betty Rose. I want to thank her for joining us. So we've got the dream team here, and County Executive Sue Serino. I want to mention to people who will be in our speaking program, Sue Serino, not just here in her official capacity as the county executive, but also as someone who lived the experience. And she'll talk about this, but there's a reason she had to start her own at-home child care center, because like me when I was starting out, there were no options. And so this is what she had to do. This is how you try to make it all work. And she's got a powerful story that shows why she's so driven to fight for this cause and to help us with something we'll be announcing today. And we're here at Day One Early Learning Center. The co-founder is Jerry Laybourne, and so she presented a vision to me. She'll talk about this, but we did a roundtable here in Poughkeepsie, sat down together, and just talked about the shortage of trained workers and how we could take people from the community who may be benefiting from these services, who need these services, and having them help be the instructor in these services and what we're doing in these centers. So I'll let her elaborate more on that, but it was a vision that I thought was brilliant, and I'm so glad we could be implementing something that she dreamed of many, many years ago. And also to have our executive director here, you'll be hearing from her as well, Madeline Enriquez, the executive director, who talks about her own experiences and why she understands the difference we're making in these children's lives is not just for a preschooler, 3-year-old, 4-year-old. These are lifelong experiences that they're going to incorporate into their everyday living when they get older, because they're giving them a chance here, and that is something they otherwise would not have. So one thing I do know, though, we know the value of this child care. We know the value of centers like this, how extraordinary they are, how life-changing they can be. But for too many families, it's just too big of a barrier. I started out wanting to continue work at a place I loved on Capitol Hill, working for a senator. It was a dream job, but we couldn't find affordable, accessible child care in Washington, D.C. at that time. And interesting to me is that baby and his sister who came along a year later are right now young parents trying to find childcare. So a generation later, not much has changed, except here in New York, everything's just about to change. Yeah. I want to confirm that this is not a new issue for us. Since I started and was chair of the statewide task force on child care, and Jerry Laybourne is a member and others are members, we've been talking about policies, but none had the breadth and the scale of what we're doing here. And over the last 4 years as your governor, I've already invested with the legislature $8 billion in child care, increasing. You know, what we've done is, when I first became governor, we had support system and subsidies and vouchers for families earning less than $60,000, maybe $57,000. You could get support from the state then. I said, but there's so many families. The median income here in Poughkeepsie is $60,000. So this would have excluded the average family in a place like Poughkeepsie. And statewide, so many people were not qualifying. So what I did was I said, that doesn't make sense. We've increased it over a couple of years to over $108,000, understanding that doesn't go as far as it should in many parts of our state. Life is becoming expensive, but also trying to help the middle class as well. And so we've expanded that program, so there's now 100,000 more children participating because of those actions, and we're just getting started. So I'm continuing those investments, and they have benefited communities from Dutchess County all the way to the North Country and Buffalo and beyond. But what I want to talk about today is ultimately delivering something I talked about last year, and we're on the path to get there, which is fully universal child care for every child in the state of New York. And this is and because promises are really only backed up by commitments of funding, we're announcing through the program that we're unveiling here in Dutchess County, $4.5 billion this year alone to support child care programming in many different ways. Now, first of all, every 4-year-old should have access, every parent of a 4-year-old should have access to the pre-K program with trained individuals running it. And we're going to guarantee that by 2028, universal 4K will be available to every child in the state of New York. And we're going to work with our school system, our schools, our local providers. We'll get that done because too much time has already lapsed. And families are making those decisions now. Do I stay in this state? Can I afford to live here? Can I even afford to have children? Let them make those decisions now with the confidence that the state will be their ally, their partner in helping drive down the high cost of living, hitting one of the most challenging aspects of their budget, the high cost of child care. So that's what we're committing to. That's one element. That deals with the 4-year-olds. But we're also investing $1.2 billion to double down on the voucher program and the subsidies that we have. So we already have a 40% increase in eligibility from last year. And what this does, this is extraordinary. This caps costs at $15 a week for families up to $114,000. That's what we're doing now. But we have to get the capacity, right? That's our commitment. Yes. We have to get the capacity, the locations, the trained professionals to take care of them. But also what we're talking about here today is a brand new concept. We've identified 3 communities across upstate to start a pilot program. Pilot meaning you look at it very closely, you learn what works, what doesn't work, and then you grow it even bigger. And we're investing $20 million per county, 3 counties, starting with Dutchess County. Also announcing Monroe County and Broome County will also be the places of innovation and an incubator to talk about how we take care of newborns up to 3-year-olds. And that's through a partnership with community-based providers. And what I want to do is have affordable full-day child care for children year-round. And that's what we're starting into. And I think this is going to be the most transformational policy of our entire state when you think about that we can now make it so much more affordable and so much, take that stress off of parents. Can I even find child care? How much is it going to cost? I had to stay home and give up a job I love because we figured out the math. It was cheaper for me to be the child care provider. And I didn't know when I was getting back on my career path. It was a scary, uncertain time, and my husband worked in the government. We both left higher paying jobs in the private sector, following our dreams to work in public service, and we took a real hit. So I know all about going out to the big box store in the suburbs to hand clenched with coupons, how many big things of diapers I can get, and the formula, carrying the cases of formula with the little baby in the cart. I live that. I live that. And I want to make sure that families know we are deeply attuned to the high cost of living on them, because they have a governor, the first mom governor, who's been there and walked in those shoes and understands that we have a responsibility to do more. So we're going to continue providing much needed relief for parents, but also the reason people need childcare is so you can go to a job. So for a long time, people thought, well, if you want to have kids, it's kind of your problem to figure out the childcare, right? Maybe that was your choice. The economy will prosper and blossom here in the state of New York. Will be more competitive than other states when we say this is one area we're going to take that burden off of families, and they'll be able to go into their jobs, and the economy is going to be able to be on fire with more people, particularly women, be able to take their rightful places as contributors to their family income, but also to the economy of their community. That's what this is all about, the ripple effect of all this. It's extraordinary. So let's get to work, starting right here in Poughkeepsie. And I'm proud to hand this off to Sue Serino, who has her own story, and I want to thank her for being such an incredible partner as we move forward to universal child care together.
So welcome back to Dutchess County, Governor Hochul. We are so honored to have you here and so grateful that you chose our community to partner with you in shaping a new program that's going to expand access to affordable, high-quality child care for families in Dutchess County and really across New York State. I know how important affordable, accessible child care is. When I was a single mom, I was waitressing and managing a restaurant at night. There was no way I could have afforded to pay for child care. So what did I do? Right, Jerry? I went and became a certified child care provider through Dutchess County, and I was able to stay home with my son while taking care of other moms' children in my home. And it was just a wonderful choice that I made, and as so many others are deciding to do too. So thank you for all of those who have been leading our local efforts, including our wonderful Commissioner of the Department of Community and Family Services, Sabrina Marzuka, and her team. Teresa is here today. Thank you. And a huge thank you to our partners at Day One who really started all of this. Thank you to founders Jerry Laybourne and Dr. Julie Reese. Your creativity and commitment and genuine care and for families and children shine through everything you do, and we're so lucky to be able to work alongside you. Child care touches every part of our lives. It helps our children thrive, supports parents and caregivers, strengthens our economy like the governor mentioned, and builds more equitable, connected communities. Simply put, it's foundational to a healthy and resilient society, and it's something every family deserves access to. So, Governor, thank you so much for your leadership on this issue that is so close to each of our hearts as mothers and leaders. We are excited to partner with you to build on our success and create a child care model that can be replicable statewide. Thank you for this critical investment in our families and our future. So, like you said, let's get started. Thank you, Governor. And now I would like to introduce the co-founder of Day One, Jerry Laybourne.
I only have a minute, but you guys have backgrounders on what we do. But I just want to say to the governor, when you talked to us in 2019, you gave us guidelines. You said, get to know this community before you do anything. Think about the business as part of this. Think holistically about the economics of this. because there is no better ROI for any public spending than early learning. And the fact that the governor is setting up an infrastructure to back up this initiative that includes the words early learning and not just childcare. We came into this because Julie Reese wanted to make sure that we could make a profession out of early childhood, and that's what we've done. I just want to tell you 2 statistics. One for the governor. Not only do our teachers thrive and do well, our kids in our lab school met 95% of their math benchmarks going into kindergarten. So if you want to know what helps a kid thrive in later life, it's knowing math, okay? And this is what the governor is doing, is the math of how we change our communities, how we get our residents to stay here. That's how we started, Rob. You know, it's like every one of you I treasure, especially Roberta, because I've known her the longest. Roberta did innovative things, but what the governor has done, she put me on these committees. I'm an entrepreneur. They first thought I had 8 heads. But, like, you know what? I learned from them, and I hope they learned a bit from me. But what you taught me was use your skills as an entrepreneur, do the right thing for our families, and let's get going.
Thank you, Jerry.
Now, Madeline Henriquez, so our program is called Teacher Apprentice Pathway. Our belief for our organization is we are all on a pathway. Madeline came to us 6 months pregnant, had 2 babies at day 1. By the way, if anybody here is childbearing age, you're probably going to be pregnant in the near future. But I just want to introduce Madeline because she has invented new programs. She's made our programs work. Go say the last word.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I am not pregnant. And I'm a proud day 1 mom. I'm a proud City of Poughkeepsie resident. And both of my children actually attend our early learning center. Day 1 doesn't just expand access. We are building systems that last. And I know that was definitely one of your wants. We train and retain early childhood educators. We support families navigating poverty and instability. And we partner with government and community institutions to turn policy into practice. I lead this organization proudly as a woman of color, a working parent, and I was able to return to this job that I love because of TAP. And I'm a lifelong social justice advocate. I know personally that when early learning systems fail, the burden falls especially hardest on women, on immigrants, and communities of color. And I also know that when we invest early and intentionally and at scale, we change life trajectories. New York is at a moment of opportunity. The question is not whether we believe in universal childcare. The question is whether we are ready to implement it with integrity, accountability, and equity. Day 1 is ready. Thank you, Governor Hochul, for your continued leadership and investment in Day 1 and for creating this opportunity to build the future together. Governor Hochul.
Thank you, Mary.
We're talking about childcare. Can you just talk a little bit about the threats at the federal level of cuts in funding, what that would mean for the state, and if you've spoken to the president?
I will say this, I speak to the president fairly often. And the context is always, can you please restore the funding you took away? That's it. You know, whether it's tunnels in New York City, whether it's offshore wind, Long Island, or whether it's almost $200 million for law enforcement. And now we just had to go to court and get a restraining order against their efforts to stop $3.8 billion in childcare and family support money. New York alone. And they told everybody they were singling out 5 Democratic states to do that. They didn't even try to cover it up. It was 5 Democratic states. We stopped that for now. And now they're saying that if we don't cooperate with ICE in their civil immigration enforcement, that they will take away all of our money. I'll tell you what, I will work and have worked, my state police have worked, whenever there's a threat, whether someone has actually committed a crime, because I want all of our communities safe. We already do that. So this is just a threat to intimidate states like New York into bowing into submission, and that is something we'll never do. So I say this, you touch any more money from the state of New York, we'll see you in court. You're all good? Look for, are they?
What's the first next step after this for Dutchess County and Erie and Broome counties with the funding? Where are we going from here?
We are going to, first of all, get this through the legislature. They have to approve the funding. We good with this, you think, everybody? Okay. And we're working closely with Dutchess County and their office that handles this, they were just introduced, to talk about what works for Dutchess County. What I don't want is have as a one-size-fits-all for the entire state. This is where I draw on my local government experience. Every community has unique needs. Some have more assets like this day one than others. Can something like this be expanded? I mean, these are all the possibilities. So I'm sure at some point there'll be RFPs put out to be able to identify and put in criteria that we'll work with to identify what kind of program we're going to be supporting. But my goal is to have this up and running next year. I don't want to waste any more time. Families have waited too long. They need this certainty. And this will be a pilot program for newborns to 3-year-olds. And I look forward to seeing the ideas that come out of Dutchess County and Monroe County and Broome County as well.
Thank you guys. Really
all right, thank you, everyone.